Sure, there were a lot of pickings in the portal, but why Mason and why Grayson? Those two guys.
Yeah, there were some guys that we looked at, but I just I think give our staff a lot of credit. Kenyatta Watson, Julian Rowe Cohen, they did a really good job of finding guys and vetting guys and making sure that they were really good fits for BC, because that's a huge part of it, right? Like their ability to come here and go to class and assimilate into this, this culture of Boston College, and I think that's huge. And so those two guys are awesome guys. They've been fantastic. Femi's been great. Anthony Colner, the whole room. Enzo, Jake Caniglio. It's been a fun room to be a part of. We've been working hard for 2 months. This was the first day of practice, but we've been, working a lot leading up to this, and it's been a great group to work with. So yeah, I give our scouting staff a lot of credit.
Mason has a body of work, and Grayson's kind of like what Dylan was last year. Just talk about those, contrasting those two.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson's a good athlete too.
Yeah.
He can run. He's a little bit bigger than Mason, but Mason, is very athletic. He's a good runner. He's got a quick release. He's very smart. He's got good poise. He shows up every day, ready to work. He's, a really bright guy and very instinctive. So we're excited. And I would say the same thing. Grayson's, different type of player. They're different in some of the things that they can do, but both very smart, competitive, good leadership qualities. Yeah, really good.
Bill, I ask you this because first day of spring camp, and when I was down in spring training, Alex Cora talked about they had a big video message for the guys. Did you have anything special? Any messages, videos, anything for the kids before the first day?
Not really, because we've been. It's fun. That's a good question. We've been working since it was probably. That question would be more appropriate for when we first started. So when we first started, which was about 2 months ago when they came back from their break in the middle of January, look, it's a brand new team. So I really want them to really take it one day at a time and be where their feet are. I showed them a video, Rick Pitino video the other day of, Rick Pitino turns over that sand, the sand through the hourglass deal, and he says, hey man, take advantage of practice, take advantage of, you can't play football forever. Take advantage of it. One drill at a time, one rep at a time. That's really been my motto with these guys, and these guys have done a really good job of, taking that to, to really believe in that. And so I think they try to get better every day. It's a great group of guys. They work very, very hard, and it's been fun to work with them. And now we just got to take the next step and have a good spring practice. So.
Coach, you brought in a senior offensive analyst, but still no OC, I guess, technically. You going to be doing that this year, or still up in the air?
Yeah, no, I'll be the offensive coordinator. I'll call the plays. But we got a great staff, so it's very much of a collaborative effort. You've got the guys on the staff, very experienced guys. Rob Chudzinski, right? I mean, he's called a lot of plays over his career. Jonathan DiBiaso. We've got a great addition, running back coach, and Mike Hart. Great addition, wide receiver coach, Joe Daly. Kurt Anderson. Then we just hired as our offensive line coach. Then we just hired Andrew Briner. We got young coaches, right? We have young guys. Eli Kosinovich, just a really good up-and-coming young football coach that works with the quarterbacks with us. Tanner Brandemart, really young coach, but a really smart guy. Andrew Sartori was with me at the Patriots. So we have a really good staff, and we meet all the time, and it's good chemistry in the staff, and I'm certainly not doing it alone. They help me with the scripting. Sometimes some of those guys will call the plays during practice, but yeah, that'll be how we'll do it moving forward.
In the portal, how do you balance proven talent versus long-term potential?
Well, that's something it's hard to do that, Trevor, you know what I mean? Like we try to look at, guys that maybe like a Mason McKenzie who have been very productive at what you would say is a lower level. Good football. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss came from the same conference that Mason McKenzie came from, so really good football. Very productive, right? A winner, a guy that made a lot of really outstanding plays while he was at Saginaw Valley, but not the ACC. And then you have that category of guys like Chris Jones, who, maybe he was a number 2 at Georgia, but for us, he's a number 1. And, maybe he doesn't have, all these stats and things like that, but he's an excellent football player. It's going to help our team. Then you have the guy Demetrius Ballard from Buffalo, who had production at Buffalo. Now, can he bring that production to us in the ACC? So it is a balance. But I think the big thing is what I was telling Rich. I think the big thing is the fit. Are these guys BC guys? Are these guys the guys that can understand what this place is all about? I think that's a big thing that I believe we've done a good job with that.
Just, I know you've talked about the transfers a lot, but there's some key guys returning from injury as well, like Sire, Jaden. Just how great is it to have, those guys back, real key contributors?
Yeah, those guys, it's great to have all those guys back. They're not fully back yet, but they will be in the summer. They might be able to do some things in the spring, but they'll definitely be back summer and into training camp. So, yeah, no, you want a 100% healthy team. And we've got a lot of John Montague, right? We've got guys coming back from injury that are really, really good football players that you won't see out here in the spring, but you will see in training camp. And they're doing a great job. Our medical staff's doing a good job with the rehab and all that. Joe Van Allen does an awesome job with that. So we're on the right track. But they'll probably be back in the summertime.
Coach, financial commitments were made from the administration this offseason as far as like max revenue share. Any insight from you as far as beyond what the school's providing to your program as far as third party, NIL, things like that?
These are great. That's an awesome question, and I really do believe this. Those questions are for somebody above me. I don't really make those decisions, right? I'm the football coach. Certainly I give my 2 cents, but when it comes to the rev share, we're full rev share, and it's been fantastic, and we have great support. And Blake and I work very well together. Reggie Terry has been awesome. He's helped me a ton with all kinds of different things, from contracts to coaching hires and all different things. Reggie Terry just brings a wealth of experience, and he's been awesome in this whole deal. But no, we feel very much supported. We got to go out there and do it. We have to play well, we have to coach well, but we feel like we're headed in the right direction.
And do you think that commitment to the max revenue share now kind of helps someone like Kenyatta, that's now the GM, that throughout the season now can be looking at the roster for future seasons?
Yeah, and I mentioned Kenyatta earlier. Kenyatta, again, same category as Reggie Terry. He's done an unbelievable job of coming here and helping. Kenyatta knows everybody. I'm amazed that he knows everybody around the country. He knows everybody everywhere. And so he's able to, already you see on day one, a great crowd of, on a Tuesday, good crowd of prospects here. And Kenyatta's been a huge help. So yeah, it does help them to know what they have resource-wise to be able to go out and target guys moving forward, no doubt about it. Yeah.
You guys obviously aren't in full pads yet.
Yeah, it's not. I told the team this, not to interrupt you, but it's not real football yet.
Right.
Because we're in shells, so we can't be tackling and diving on the ground and all this other stuff. So.
Just wondering, if there's anybody defensively, especially with the linebackers and the DNs, that you feel like it's kind of jumped out to you with their IQ and the way they kind of process the field, the things that they're doing, maybe in the film room and stuff.
Yeah, great question. I've been with the offense a lot, but I know just from watching out on the field and stuff, you've got guys like Anthony Pilano, Bodie Cahoon, who have come in here and done a really good job of picking up the system. And then you have these defensive ends, defensive tackles, KJ Sampson, Demetrius Ballard, Chris Jones, guys that have come in here and done a good job of picking up the system. Then you have the guys that were here last year, obviously KP Price, Carter Davis. We got some young corners that are playing good. Ashton Cunningham's had a really good practice today. Marcellus Townsend, Max Tucker's playing some nickel for us. But then we have young safeties. I could go through the whole roster. Marcus Upton, he's impressed us this offseason. Jordan Rodriguez just got here in January, impressive young player. So there's others. I'm leaving some guys out. Chris Maribel, he did an unbelievable job in winter conditioning. So I feel like we're on the right track defensively. I think we've improved, and now, obviously we got to go out there and have a good spring.
And I guess Ted could probably answer this, more thoroughly, but just from a linebacker standpoint, I feel like I've always heard the term sort of quarterback of the defense.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you look for in guys with, or I guess do you see that in guys with like Anthony and Bodie?
Yeah, the linebacker, in my opinion, the inside linebacker, the best ones that I've ever been around. I've been very fortunate. I've been around a lot of great inside linebackers, pro and college. They're very bright. They're very instinctive. They're tough. They can run. They understand things like, when somebody comes out in a certain personnel, certain formation, they kind of know, hey, they can only do one of two things here and narrow it down. So I think we have some guys that fall into that category. But again, they've got to go out there and have a good spring and continue to prove it.
Is Jaden Skeet moving into that Lewis Bond role, not as a player, but in the room?
Yeah, Jaden, he's been here for a while. He's definitely a great guy, leadership guy. He's more of an outside guy. Lewis is more of an inside guy. But yeah, I know what you're saying. No, he's definitely a leader. He's coming back from a shoulder deal.
Yeah.
So he's not out there a lot right now, but he'll be back in the summertime. But yes, he definitely is one of the leaders, no doubt about it.
Feels like across the sport, Coach, there's been some changes, especially in the last 2 years with the spring program. I know last year, obviously, you were doing with the spring game. Anything you're taking from last year into this season as you have your second spring ball?
Yeah, I think like when it comes to the spring game, we'll have a really productive last practice where we'll have a big crowd here, but we'll do it right in here. We'll have a practice, to go into the stadium and open up the stadium and all that. I think it's better to just have a really good. That was just my decision. I think moving forward, I think that most of us, I don't want to speak for all the college coaches, but most of us want to bump spring practice back and make it more like the NFL schedule where, you have OTAs and then you have this many days to get 15 practices in all the way through. Maybe you could have spring in June, and have your passing camps and things like that in the spring, and then in June you have your spring practice. So, I think eventually it'll move to that, but that hasn't been approved yet. But so we're just we're doing it basically the same what we've been doing in the past.
Take a couple more here, guys.
You mentioned linebackers. I got to ask you this because a banner hanging up out there, the kid that's going now in the Pro Football Hall of
Yes.
Fame. What do you remember about him? You probably went up against
Yeah.
him a few times.
Yeah, unbelievable player. Like I was saying to Graham, he embodied what I was saying. I mean, just a brilliant player, a guy that was not heavily recruited. He came here, and right from day one, from all the stories that I've heard, was the man. Just as far as his film study and being able to apply it to the field, being able to play the way he played, leading the ACC. I think he led the country in tackles when he was here. I mean, just an unbelievable NFL player. You had to. He was the type of guy that when you went against him, it was mostly in Houston, where you had to change your cadence. You had to change all your code words. You had to change everything because if you used the same code word or cadence that you had used the week before or 2 weeks before, he had it. And there were very few guys like that. It was him. It was Ray Lewis, guys. Teddy Bruschi. Those guys were incredible players. And so we love Luke here, obviously at BC, and we congratulate him. Huge honor. Yep.
Take one more here, guys.
I think it's worth mentioning how many new coaches are on
Yeah.
this staff, and
Yep.
I'm just kind of wondering the way that you're going about sort of cementing the relationships with each other and what you guys have been doing just these past few months.
Yeah, we made some changes, but also some guys left, and that happens. Some guys, they have other opportunities that maybe involves their families and things like that, and we wish them the best. They did a great job while they were here. We feel really good about this coaching staff. We just added Ben Albert and Jules Montanar last week, basically, and they've jumped in and they've been great. I talked about Mike Hart and Joe Daly and Kurt Anderson, and then obviously Ted Roof. We feel really good about that. We've added a couple analysts. We're still, there's more people to be hired because we have a couple more spots in recruiting and things like that. Obviously, the addition of Kenyatta and being able to promote Julian Rowe-Cohen, that's been a huge thing. So, yeah, it is a brand new staff in many ways, but it's been the chemistry's good and they love the coach and they're having fun doing it.